You are listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast exploring Scripture and all things related to it. New episodes are released daily. For more information, check out glossahouse.com and subscribe to our channels on Spotify and YouTube. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Proof Text. I am Michael Halcomb, and this is an episode of Fallacy of the Week. And as usual, we've got another good one for you. On Fallacy of the Week, we often look at social media posts, memes, and that sort of thing, and attempt to just find the fallacies in these things that make their way through the larger populace, through society, through wider society. And so that's what we're going to look at again today. And if you're watching, I'm going to put a meme up here on the screen now. If you're just listening, that's fine too. I will describe it. So let me get that ready and cue it up. There we go. And if you're watching, boom, it should be there. So the meme, this was posted by a so-called theologian, a systematic theology professor, which is hilarious to me because systematics, you're supposed to do things really logically, and this is anything but logical. Anyways, the meme has a picture of Jesus holding children, and he's circled around people talking to them. It's white Jesus, and that should clue you into something right there. And then it says at the top, "I never told you to hate anybody." So this is Jesus saying this. "I never told you to hate anybody." And then he continues, "I don't care where they're from, what they look like, who they're in love with, or who they worship. Why is this so difficult?" All right, this is one of the most idiotic memes or social media posts I think I've ever seen. And it's an absolute shame and travesty that a former Asbury professor, but just a former even a current systematic theology professor would post something like this. It's ignorant. It's absolute ignorance. So the first thing that I want to suggest is that this is an appeal. There's a fallacy of an appeal to emotion going on here, right? And what I think is happening is that the statement, along with the image of Jesus holding a child, is appealing to the emotion, especially he's white Jesus, so he's particularly appealing to white people, white Westerners. So you have this appeal going on with the image, but the statement is also appealing along with the image to the emotions of the person reading it and looking at the meme by emphasizing the importance of love and tolerance, right? Which the meme obviously doesn't define, and probably the professor couldn't define, because most people can't define it in a good, solid, biblical, theological way. Remember, my definition of love based on Scripture, one thing God's best for the other person. Not what they think is best, not what I think is best, what God thinks is best. And what does God think is best? A life of surrender that leads to obedience, right? So when we talk about love, if it's anything that doesn't lead to surrender to God and result in obedience, then it's actually not love. It's the antithesis of love. And so, I think you have a sort of appeal to emotion going on here. While this isn't necessarily a formal fallacy, it is a sort of persuasive technique that relies on emotions rather than logical reasoning to make a point. For example, I could say you should support charity, or this charity, because it helps innocent children in need. How can you ignore their suffering? Right? So that's an appeal to emotion. Well, there could be a lot of good charities, that do a lot of good things, but that's an appeal to emotion. That's what this white Jesus holding white children, appealing to love and tolerance. It's absolutely an emotional appeal to the white Westerner. So you have that sort of going on. And then, but I think the first thing that I really notice after that is the false attribution. Now, I'm also going to talk about a misattribution, but those are two different fallacious things. So let me talk about false attribution first, okay? And I'll point it out where it is in the meme. In the meme, The statement attributes specific words and statements to Jesus, implying that these are his direct teachings, but in fact, Jesus never said these things. So this could be considered a false attribution fallacy because it assumes knowledge about Jesus' exact words on the matter. So, for example, if I go, Albert Einstein once said, there are no black holes in the universe, therefore black holes do not exist. Well, Einstein doesn't say that, but I'm falsely attributing a statement to Einstein to support a claim that I'm making. And so let me talk just for a minute about a false attribution fallacy and then a misattribution fallacy, right? So again, the false attribution, like, it occurs when somebody is attributing a statement or a claim to a particular source, a person, authority, institution, etc., without any evidence, without the and with the intention. This is really important. So without any evidence and with the intention of deceiving others. So in other words, it's involving a claim that a certain person or authority made a statement when they didn't, in an attempt to deceive someone, right? Making them think that they said it or did it. Now, we have also, I think, maybe a misattribution fallacy going on. The misattribution fallacy is a little bit broader. It doesn't, or rather, it does perhaps encompass situations where a statement or idea is attributed to the wrong source or incorrectly associated with a particular source. But it doesn't necessarily imply deception or an intentional attempt to mislead, right? There are quotes that are often mistakenly applied to people, but they were said by a different person. They're applied to one person, but said to one person. So it's just an error, a misattribution, but there wasn't an intent to deceive, right? So there's a difference between a false attribution and a misattribution fallacy, and I think we might actually have both going on here, because the meme starts by saying, it has it as if Jesus is saying, "I never told you to hate anybody," right? Well, Jesus actually never says those words. He never says those words. I don't care where someone's from. Jesus never said that. I don't care what they look like. Jesus never said that. I don't care who they're in love with. Jesus never said that. I don't care who they worship. Jesus never said that. There's 6. Why is this so difficult? Jesus never said that. There's 6 things here that Jesus never said. So I think there probably is a false attribution fallacy going on here. It's attributing things to Jesus that he actually never said, as though he said them, and the intent is to deceive. Now, there may be things like, I never told you to hate anybody. That's not explicitly, stated by Jesus. Those words, those 7 words, I never told you to hate anybody. He never says that exact thing, right? But there are other places in Scripture that, you maybe could get close to saying something like that. So this could be potentially a misattribution fallacy, but I don't know. It seems like this is meant to deceive, to make a point. And so, yeah, maybe it is just the false attribution fallacy, but possibly there's a misattribution of quotes or a misattribution fallacy going on. I also think there's some simplification fallacy taking place here, right? That's a statement that oversimplifies complex issues, and the complex issues here are related to hate, intolerance, discrimination. That's the implications, and it's suggesting that the solution is just straightforward, just not hating anyone, just listening to that, not hating anyone. And I don't think it's actually capturing or addressing the nuances of these issues, right? I could say ending poverty is easy. You just need to give everyone money. Well, what that's doing is simplifying what's actually a complex problem, and it's doing so by proposing a stupid, simplistic solution. And we see that in the fallacy here, right? Where you have actually complex things and the meme is boiling them down and simplifying them. Um, but it all flows from this false attribution, I think. We might have a cherry picking fallacy going on here too. And then there's one other thing I want to direct your attention to, but you know what? When you cherry pick, you're selectively presenting, like if you're looking at cherries, right, and you're picking the ones you want because they're the good ones, right? Well, that's what cherry picking is: selectively presenting certain aspects of Jesus' teachings while ignoring others, or cherry picking certain aspects of them and then twisting them, right? So this is focusing on a message of love and tolerance, but actually doesn't address a broader spectrum of teachings within the whole of Jesus' repertoire, or the whole repertoire of Scripture, for that matter. So I think there's cherry picking going on. You see this all the time with politicians, for instance, where they ignore all the things they failed at when they're talking to the public, but they just highlight the things that they count as accomplishments. So yeah, I think there's some cherry picking for sure going on here, with these 6 things. And it's hard to imagine looking at the meme, Jesus saying, I don't care who you worship, right? Well, Jesus does talk about worship the Lord your God, right? And Jesus does care who you're in love with. He talks about marriage was made for a man and a woman, Mark 10. And when we get to I don't care where they're from, I think Jesus probably would agree with that, but he never says it. And what they look like, I think he would agree with that, but they never say it. And maybe you can derive that from other things, other places. But yeah. All right. So one more thing here, the appeal to ignorance. I definitely think that's taking place. The statement is implying that since Jesus never explicitly said to hate anybody, it follows that he advocated for love and tolerance. However, the absence, you remember, right? The absence of a statement doesn't necessarily imply the presence of an opposite view. That's really, really important to remember. So I think this meme really is appealing to ignorance. People who might not know the scriptures really well might assume that Jesus did say all these things because some of them seem like he would have said them. I could say, we have zero evidence that aliens exist, so they must not exist. And I don't believe aliens exist, but what that statement is doing is it assumes that the absence of evidence is evidence of absence. So chew on that for a little bit. The absence of evidence, it assumes that the absence of evidence is the evidence of absence. And that's not accurate, and that's not true. So this is appealing, I think, to ignorance as well. And the comments that I read on all this, they were just ignorant too, foolish, just absolutely ignorant. And I'm not even going to share them with you. So here I think we have the appeal to emotion going on, the false attribution, maybe a misattribution. I think we have the simplification fallacy, some cherry picking for sure, and then an appeal to ignorance, and really to play to ignorance. All right, this is an annoying as crap meme, and I hope if you've seen this around, you don't fall for it. Maybe you see even other fallacies in here. But yeah, I'm gonna stop there for now and say I hope that helps.